Welcome in, everyone. And welcome to tonight, where we talk about the attention war. And it may not be what you think. I'm specifically talking about how advertising tries to grab your attention. How advertising loves to... Well, have you ever noticed how hard it is to just go about your day without being constantly interrupted by a sales pitch? Like, that relentless, invasive sales pitch from everywhere. And it's not an accident, just to be clear. And tonight, I want to open by looking at something that we all deal with. But I've talked about it before, but I don't think we really get it. I don't think we really understand how much has changed in the last 25 to 30 years. I mean, the scale was happening before that. Like, you could see it happening, but with how rapidly advertising has changed, it's just the state of our attention and what we do with it. What's up, XO? Hey, I can wait on my stuff. You said you had something to talk about. Tea, bro. Spill it. I will. You know I will. I won't try to offend you. It's just like, oh, okay, hey, I don't see... You know what I mean. First art commission, 2 kids and a pet in the background on an 11 by 14 canvas. Okay. Post shows the work in style, exactly. Okay, so she's aware of the artistic things you do. Never drawn or painted humans. She said that it was okay. Okay. So far, so good. So an 11 by 14 canvas with 3 subjects that you're unfamiliar with. For $55, that sounds like a good deal. So far, so good. So far, so good. Updates on the painting. Work in progress so that any critiques can happen in flow when you have a chance to fix them. Tell her she doesn't get a painting. Right. See, and this is what happens with the art world. People will agree on a price, and then chronically, they will undercut. So what? Hello there. Hello there, hello there. So, one, she has no right to get mad at you. You ran updates along the way. You knew, meaning her, she knew the progress. Never once mentioned that there was any problem, and then tries to more than half the price? Almost 1/3? No. $20? Not worth an 11 by 14, I can tell you that. See, and this is why, yeah. And then she blocks you. I'm helping. She told me I'm doing you. Like, this is so classic. Everything I've seen of the art world. My oldest been doing art since she was like on the commission side, at least 12, 13, but more professionally at 16. This is classic. And it's why the art world has gotten... It's why the art world has gotten so combative. See, like, the art world is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Because you have at the high end, I mean, obvious people just laundering money for scraps of canvas that make no sense. I mean, and I will point at Jackson Pollock. I mean, a toddler could do what he did, but somehow he's the genius. You know what? I applaud you for your restraint. Not only that, but for your tactfulness in response. I cannot accept this price, but thank you so much for the opportunity. I got to explore a new way of painting, and I hope you find someone who can paint to your liking and pricing point, but I am not that person. Have a lovely day. What is wrong with that response? You were perfectly polite. And she has a temerity to be mad. I agree with hello there. Holy entitlement. She never had any intention of paying you the price she agreed on. Because she doesn't see it that way. Because art has always been seen as subjective. Yeah, okay, XO. I know you're a college student, but you're not a starving artist. See, and that's what they're used to dealing with. They're used to dealing with people. Most artists are way up here and they don't really have a grounding, so they can be negotiated with. They can be, see, those are the kind of people that literally destroy the art world. Oh, of course. Or the next artist she commissioned. You know what I'd do as revenge? I'd post that picture on Facebook Marketplace for $40. Why not? It's your art. Oh yeah, it's her kids and her pet. Exactly. She'll see it, I guarantee it, and she will come running back. You tried to make me pay $55. Yeah, well, I made it specifically for you. This is just now random something for somebody else. $40, I think, is more than, recouping your losses. And that's the thing. She didn't even try. Oh no, see, I would post that painting for sale for $40. It's why I never understood. Right. It's why I never understood why artists take commissions when they first start. I mean, sure, go ahead. I would rather sell my art. She can whine and bitch and moan all day long. One, I wouldn't be using Facebook Marketplace. I don't know where else you'd go. Facebook has so many back-end rules, and I'm actually contemplating doing a video on Facebook. Sorry, not a video, but a TED Talk or a fireside chat on Facebook, and it won't be a happy one. I will point to every time they burned money. You think AI Bros are the first company to burn money and somehow succeed? Facebook has been burning money since the beginning. Oh, it was a great experience. And you handled that beautifully. Yes. And I would still hold open, because then you can point, if she tries to lambaste you, just post the receipts. You save that as, me personally, because it's your first commission and you're first dealing with it, I would post that whole conversation, print it. I would print it out and have it framed on my wall, because I would have been proud to be able to handle it as well as you did. Absolutely. Well, hello there. TED Talks are basically what I do on Wednesday nights. And XO, you are absolutely correct in what you did. Yeah. Oh, not only do I need to know about it from your perspective, I have seen this happen to not just my oldest, but to several people along the way. Several of my friends, the art world, the people outside of it don't take it seriously enough. The people inside it don't take it seriously enough. There are very few artists that actually truly know how to value their work. I think your price was absolutely fine. There was nothing wrong with that $55. If anything, I probably would have hit 60. Because a portrait artist is going to spend, you're going to be paying at least 500. But you don't have a name yet. What I'd be doing is I would be doing whatever drawings I feel like, and I'd be posting those on Facebook Marketplace for sale. I would commercialize your art long before somebody asks you for commissions. See, I always think that artists do it backwards. They want to do the commissions because they want to be told what to do. This is one of the biggest problems with artists, because they don't want to be told what to do when it comes to their art, but they almost always want commissions so they know what to draw. I think if you put out the art first, your art for sale, you can tell people, I sold this at that. I sold this at that. You can point to your receipts when they try to tell you when your commission isn't good enough. Oh, I guarantee it was. Because she's reading between the lines like she would do under the same circumstances. She's reading that as passive aggressive. She is twisting the words that you're trying to insult her, even though you're really not. You literally stuck to your boundaries. Frankly, and I know I'm not wrong, a Karen like her isn't used to that. She's probably some middle-aged woman, about my age, give or take, who is used to people giving her what she wants, if she throws a big enough stink. The problem is that you gave her no argument. You gave her nothing to sink her teeth into for an argument. That's why she blocked you. She didn't get the response she wanted. I hate to tell my mom this way, but that's how my mom used to be. If she could get the argument, she would love to have the bitch back and forth. She wanted that. But if you didn't give her the argument, you're just like, I'm still sticking to my boundaries. She doesn't know what to do. I had to learn that at 20-something to set my boundaries with my mom, and it finally caused a lot of her issues to crumble. because she always just assumed everybody was out to get her, just like her family was. And I guarantee you that thumbs up, you know, she probably in her mind probably thought, oh, she was just telling me to put that thumb up, you know where. You know, they don't understand that they're the problem. I'm still saying you can still sell it for 40. Not only can you get the money out of it, you can get a little bit, or not the experience out of it, but you can get a little bit of your money back. I mean, if you were feeling really petty, you could post it on Facebook Marketplace for 20 just to piss her off. But I would post it for 40. Regardless of how good you may think it is or isn't, you might be able to find somebody to buy it. And like I said, recoup some of your losses. I mean, I know canvases aren't cheap. Canvases, last I saw, were at least 10, 12 bucks. But I'm not positive that's even a steady price right now. Okay. So she was offering you half the price at best for materials. That's not even counting your paint, which, like I said, for materials, we're not even factoring labor into it. Labor, I'm guessing 11 by 14 complex, 8 to 10 hours minimum that you spent trying to get it right. Seven? You're better than I thought. Smart. Dinner. Peanut butter, chocolate, raspberry, meal replacement shake. I don't want to call it a protein shake because it's actually like more of a vitamin thing. Even better. See, and that's the smart part, XO. See, that's one of the things I applaud your generation. No, you didn't do bad at all. Oh, hell no, I'm applauding you. You'll have to send me a pic so I can see, if you want, so I can see the work. Because, I mean, one, to know it was painted, that's hard to do. I mean, yeah, I do digital drawing, but I don't think I'd touch a canvas yet. I'm not comfortable with that yet. I have too many undos I do in my digital art. I mean, if I was going to do something like that, I would probably sketch it out first digitally, get it set up to where I wanted it, print it out, and trace it onto the canvas. Yeah, that's probably what I try to do for the boot, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, the art world is, well, you should still be excited. Somebody saw your work. Hear me out. They thought it was good enough to try and scam you over it. Did you hear that? They thought it was good enough to try and scam you over it. That's actually good. Not only that, but they thought so much of your talents. Give me a second, let me formulate this properly. Okay, so they thought so much of your talents that they gave you a project that is not under your normal standards and thought it was good enough to not only buy, Of course, for less than the price. You forgot a detail. Okay. I'll wait. So she tried to get you on the hook for another painting before she had paid you for the first one. Okay, so, see, even worse, she probably had no intention of getting the waterfall. I almost guarantee you she had every intention of trying to talk you down on the first painting. And like Hello There said earlier, that on the next one, she would probably try to get it for free because you had disappointed her in the first one. See, and here's the thing you need to remember, XO. If it was truly bad art, why did she still want it? See, and that's the thing is, she never once told you that it was bad. She never once said she didn't like it. She just didn't want to pay the price. So what that tells me is that it was good. Probably better than she expected because she didn't try to critique it. Oh, well, you didn't get this right or you didn't get that right. See what I mean? So it was actually good. Even though I haven't seen it, I'm just going off of habit patterns, you know, stuff like that. And my thought is that it was good. Not just good enough, but good. So much so, she still wanted it in her living room or wherever she was going to put it. So much so that she was probably going to tell the story about it, about how she got it for a dirt cheap price. And think because her biddies, her little bitty friends, would love that story because that's what they love to do. They don't like to reward people for what they do. It's how we ended up in the world we have today. Funnily enough, this kind of segues right into what I'm kind of talking about. Or what I was on the docket to talk about tonight. But no, you're not the person to scam. XO, I would be terrified if you ever were mad at me. Like truly mad. Like, okay, I've upset you, no big deal. No, don't be sorry. I literally kind of left a lot of wiggle room in this because I wasn't sure where you were going to be. Why what? Why scared? What did I say? I already lost what I said. Wish I could rewind and figure out what I said exactly. Oh, why being scared? Because I have a feeling if somebody truly made you angry. Don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about like just upset you. But I think if somebody truly made you angry, you have the intelligence to make their life a living hell. And I don't mean like, you know, oh, you're going to find their house and, you know, bully them or whatever. No. You've learned enough about legal. You are pretty good with people. So my guess would be is that you could probably convince people that are just as big as me or multiple people that are maybe not as big as me, but probably could take me to intimidate me or to, you know, whatever. But that would take, I'm not saying you do this for a petty reason. I would have to do something seriously bad. But you would find ways to make their life a living hell. I can't even think of them because that's not the way I think. I'm a direct person. If you piss me off, I talk to you. I will let you know. But, so, you know, speaking of what these people are used to, and pulling the ladder up behind them. True, like I said with petty things. That is entirely a good plan to be on. I'm talking about something big. Like accidentally, actually not even accidentally, you wouldn't do that with if I accidentally, but if I intentionally doxed you, or if I intentionally let something slip of sensitive information that may not be necessarily doxing, but something that would make you fearful for either your life or your safety. That's what I mean. I'm not talking petty shit. I'm talking the big boy stuff. You know, it's just like my wife. My wife, you know, little petty stuff, like water off a duck's back. Bigger things, you think I'm scary? She's the one you have to worry about. I just ask for her to leave me pieces when she's done so that I can play with. No, that's kind of the part of this is talking, but this isn't my normal narrative start. I'm just kind of trying to hook you into the idea and the possible solution, my conclusions, and then we'll actually have a more broader discussion after the fact. 25 stream. All right. So now that I wet my whistle a little bit, have you ever noticed how hard it is to just go about your day without being constantly interrupted by a sales pitch? It's relentless, invasive, and it's not accidental. I want to open up tonight by looking at something we all deal with, but maybe don't talk about enough. And that is the state of our attention. The attention war, if you will. So, imagine you're out shopping with a trusted friend, and they point out a product and suggest you to give it a try. Most likely you'd listen, right? You trust their judgment. But now imagine walking that same aisle with a pushy salesperson. They're hovering, pointing at everything, shouting, buy this, buy that. But you know they don't have any real opinion of the object. They just want the commission. Not only are you unlikely to buy what they're selling, you want to get away from them as fast as possible and quite possibly avoid the products that they point out altogether. And that's the exact difference between the advertising of the past and predatory tactics we face today. Ideally, an ad should simply inform and tell us what the product does, how it works, and then leave the decision to us. But modern advertising, it doesn't respect us. It's moved from persuasion to actively trying to hijack our attention. They're grabbing us in our, what I call the mindful moments. You know, the times when you're sitting at the gas pump. You know, and these aren't big moments, but you know, you're sitting there fueling up. And you're not thinking about what's going on. You're watching the numbers tick. You're making sure, you know, maybe you set it to a certain amount that you need to get and you don't want to go over. Or maybe you're just one of those that just set the lock and just wait for it to be completely full. What do you do at that time? You zone out a little bit. You start thinking about what's next on the agenda. Where do I go to next? What's next on the wait list? My personal feeling is that this is why people are complaining that time's going faster. It's not going any faster. We're doing less with it. Oh, you're paying attention to things more. You're on your phone. You're being bombarded. There's so much more that's scattering through your attention. But the reality is that you're doing less with your time, so it always feels like you don't have enough. Although, frankly, with UXO, I think you're doing a little bit too much. Maybe you need to stall. You know, take more time on your paintings and stuff. Enjoy the moments. I'm joking. Really, I'm joking. Please don't send them after me. So, I find this also absolutely predatory. Absolutely predatory. I mean, they're even putting them inside cars. Now, I mean, how long before we, have to get up a half hour before work because we have to watch the ads so the car starts? You laugh, but there's actually patents for this, investigations into it, into basically you have a car by subscription, and if you don't pay the full price, you'll have an ad-supported car. Like Amazon's ad-supported Kindles. So, here's the thing. We can't sustain this. We can't let this keep going. We need to weaponize this attention war. And largely it starts with how we react to it. We have to realize that when we go to social media to rant about these ads, to talk about them, to down-check them, when we see them, if we have the opportunity, we're playing right into their hands. To an algorithm, hate is just engagement. I mean, look at the second wave of Morbius, release. They lost even more money because they thought hate engagement and hate watching was real engagement and that it would drive more people to the movie theaters. It did not. It's literally free advertising. But every time you screenshot these ads to complain about it, if you even have to screenshot it, share it, blah, 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 whatever you're doing, make comments under it, you're just keeping the name in the feed. You're adding to their attention, engagement or whatever, the intention bill. Because that's what these ad agencies get paid on. Which is why, one, I've avoided calling out a singular item, singular product, or a singular company. I'm not trying to give them more attention, let alone, I'm also not trying to sway your opinion. What I'm trying to do is call attention to the tactics and which ones grind your gears the most. And I want you to make up your own mind on what you should do about it. But I am trying to tell you that hate engagement, they don't understand. They think it's engagement. They think these ad agencies are like, look at all these replies we got underneath the ad. We're doing something right. Of course, they're not showing them the actual replies of, geez, can you at least tell me what the product is? So we need to stop feeding the beast. If you want to actually hurt them, don't tweet, don't comment, don't even talk about them. Don't share it. Don't do nothing. You literally don't do anything, including purchasing. Just log the companies using these tactics. Stop using them. Show them with your wallet what matters. Companies that respect you, use them. Sure, sometimes it might be more expensive. Sure, you may not have the hot brand, but I'm going to tell you, you shouldn't care. I don't care what somebody wears. I don't care what somebody thinks about a product. What I care is how useful it is to me. And what I care about is people that I trust telling me how useful those products are to them. And that sure as hell ain't advertisers. There's certain YouTubers I trust to feed me a decent product. In fact, I have boycotted, literally unsubscribed and told them not to show me that channel anymore when certain channels advertise products that I think were absolute garbage. I can't tell you how many channels I have literally stopped watching because they advertise fume. Let's take an unregulated natural oil, which it's just a natural oil, and inhale it directly into our lungs because we need scented air. What if I told you that that's probably just as harmful as vaping? Because at least vaping adds moisture to help you bring it back out. Whereas just straight inhaling the oil allows it to settle into the lungs without some kind of barrier to stop it from binding to, your lungs. Because oil displaces water. Your lung tissues need to hydrate. And that's just the basics. I mean, sure, it may not be an appreciable amount to start with, but how many years are you going to be using that scented air? So yeah, I boycott people that advertise fume. People that should know better. So I do practice what I preach. There's a reason why I don't give Disney money. Yes, I named a specific product, but you guys all know that I don't give Disney money if I can avoid it. There are certain companies I absolutely boycott. I'm currently pushing everything Microsoft out of my life. I am tired of feeding that beast, and I have options. For those of you that don't know, SteamOS is coming out. Or you might have an opportunity to get it. If you don't want to switch to a Linux Mint and you're afraid of your games not working properly, if you get the SteamOS, every game you load on your Steam account, if it is Steam Deck certified, I guarantee you it's SteamOS certified. Now, that's me saying that. Look up the facts. I'm not telling you. I don't know that for a fact, but I'd almost guarantee because the Steam Deck uses SteamOS. So if it's Steam Deck certified, most likely it's SteamOS certified. And Linux, which I am running right now, which is what SteamOS is based on, is a much easier product to run than most people would like you to think. Most of your questions, I know this is a hot button topic too, can be answered with an AI ask. Like they can even give you the codes and stuff that you need to do it. But the reason why I say that is because it'll also help you learn more about your computer and how it works. I'm lucky that I come from a generation where to get a game to play, I had to type in CD/:E or E:/run this game. Like literally, that is what I had to type in just to get the game to start. I'm from an era before true operating systems, like we see them now. In fact, what we call an operating system isn't an operating system. They're actually what's known as a GUI, a graphic user interface. The operating system is still the basic shell underneath. And I don't mean basic as in the computer language. But I want you to look at advertising. I'm going back to my topic, sorry. I realized I went on a big rabbit run there. But I want you to go and stop being passive consumers and start being calculated. Log the companies that are using these tactics. Boycott them. The only negative attention that truly counts is the silence. The silence of a lost customer. Make this predatory advertising that bothers you the most expensive mistake the brand can make. If you find out you're on YouTube and a company's doing unskippable ads, don't use them. Because that's their choice to make the ad unskippable. That's not Google's choice. They tick off a little box. When they stop seeing any engagement, whether positive or negative, but they also start seeing their bottom line drop, well, they might start rethinking how they're going to advertise their product. Maybe they'll actually start respecting the product. And that's literally the only language they speak. And that's where we start out tonight, is teaching ourselves the language they speak, is understanding where this all comes from. So advertising has gone through profound psychological mutation. For decades, commercials were operated within a clear, shared frame of reference anchored in physical reality. Like, you knew it was an ad. You know, you're watching your TV show. Yeah, I know, I'm old. And an ad comes on. You know what most of these people, these ad execs and everything, never understood? Most people didn't pay attention to an ad. You know, here's the grim and gritty of it all. Advertising, even back then, when they actually respected the product, told you what it was, or maybe even just told you a story, but it was a story that involved people using the product appropriately. The smiling housewife vacuuming her carpet, showing you that the carpet was never cleaner. You know, and they still kind of use that in vacuuming advertisement. But it's basically what's known as the feature benefit storytelling. The ad establishes a real world scenario, introduces a product, demonstrates exactly how it functions to solve a problem or enhance your life in your life. Solve some problem. They attached it to something that you do in your life so that you could see how it could be useful to you. Well, the modern strategy, I call it vibe branding. The technical term is hyper-surrealism. Figure that one out. The product's utility completely ignored. The ad flashes rapid aesthetic patterns with high-impact sounds or absurdist. Basically, they're trying to trigger raw emotion. They're trying to trigger a sensory association between you and the product. Not that it has anything to do with the product itself. They're trying to attach an emotional feel for the product. So basically what you're thinking, because it bypasses a lot of your filters, the brand matches your curated identity, your aesthetic palette, and you must buy it to signal a certain status. Now, a lot of people don't actually do that. But look at a lot of streamers. They advertise by what they wear. I mean, think about every podcast that you see in the background. Somebody's curated a I'm too tall, but a product in the background that you're not really paying attention to. They're advertising you psychologically. You know, I mean, I can laugh at Ghost because it's not intentional, and I know he's not doing it intentional. But he has that Pokemon lantern. He's got that Jason lantern. He's got the Pokemon in the back of him. But the reality is that other podcasters, other people that run their streams, do you think that they're not advertising things just by wearing a certain shirt on stream? What we have to deal with guerrilla advertising to where you don't even realize you're being advertised to. I mean, think about it. Any picture of, what's the older brother, the older Paul brother, Logan? Yeah, Logan. Yeah, Jake's the one that got his face rocked. Logan, which oddly enough, haven't heard jack all from Jake in a while. Gee, I wonder why. Oh yeah, he broke his jaw. So he can't talk well. But Logan, even at the birth of his child, Prime. Exactly. Like think Mr. Beast. Every time that he's doing something and he's got, he's feeding people, it's Feastables, it's his chocolate. Wait, isn't that the Feastables is his chocolate? They use his products because you're associating these popular streamers that I want to ask, how many of you actually even pay the freak attention and welcome in Infinite, and you are right, NFT ads were something. But how many of you actually pay attention to the high-level streamers? Like, I've never seen Jake or Logan Paul outside of news about them. Like, most of these popular streamers, well, that's what I'm saying is these guys are supposed to be super popular. I've never watched them. And bullshit, you don't watch other streamers, you watch Ghost. I mean, come on. We all know that if Ghost and I streamed at the same time, we know who you'd be watching. The goofy redhead. And I don't blame you, because if he tried to stream at the same time I would, I'd probably just be like, okay, I'm gonna go watch him. Well, okay, Jinxie, I've heard that name. See, I don't even really watch other streamers. Well, okay, hello there. What I'm talking about is not so much... I just caught... Oh my God. XO. I don't have money. Lady didn't pay me. But what I'm talking about, hello there, is this subconscious advertising. You don't realize that they're telling you to buy something. Do you really think that these streamers really used Turtle Beach at the time when they became popular? I don't know what the popular headset is right now. You know, do you think they really use the headsets that they're using at that time? I mean, most people don't even realize how easy it is to reskin those things. Or to have quality earbuds in your ear and then put headphones over the top. You'd never know that they're not actually using them. Let alone how much of their bedroom is a sound studio. I mean, they even do that in music. Billie Eilish got caught for filming with her brother in her bedroom, but it was a mock-up and it was actually in a sound studio. But see, it's not bad when a streamer tells you, hey, here's a product, this would be a good idea for you. See, if I was ever to endorse a product, if I got sponsored by, say, Iron Flask, I would tell you the good and bad. I would explain to you why I buy Iron Flask over any other product. They're cheaper and good quality. Give me 1 second. This one, this is my coffee cup. This is an Iron Flask coffee. You know, this is what I use for coffee. That's why it's red. A hot drink. I have a blue one for cold drink. I've had this one over 10 years. Even down to the dent. It has lasted me that long that I have actually, and I've been so happy with it that I have replaced the topper because I broke that when I dropped it, which, keep in mind, it took a lot. But I'm not gonna sell you a product. I'm gonna tell you how it works for me. If I put hot coffee in this, like piping hot, freshly brewed, at night, go to bed, wake up in the morning, it is perfect temperature to drink when I wake up in the morning. It holds heat that well. Which, I don't know if you know this, thermal carafes and stuff work harder to keep things hot than they do to keep things cold. But that's what I'm saying is that we don't understand the guerrilla advertising. It's one of the reasons why I have my own jersey back here that I had custom made. Sorry, I didn't have it custom made. My wife had it custom made. And then Spider-Punk, because I like what he stands for. But I don't know how to explain when I feel an ad respects me. And that's what I'm trying to get at here. I want you guys to understand that I'm not trying to tell you what ads to respect. I'm asking you to pay attention, to actively listen to the advertisements, to actively assess for yourself which ads you think are bad or good. Like I said, I boycott Disney. That's my own thing. I'm going to tell you the reasons why I boycott Disney, but by no means is this meant to convince you to. I don't judge you on whether or not you like it or not. I don't care. I'm giving you information. You can do with it whatever the hell you want. Now, do you want to know why this all changed? Why advertising went from storytelling to vibes? Well, there's three forces. The evolution of advertising, the transforming of advertising from a persuasive art form now into an attention trap, an attention war, if you will. So, one, I'm going to tell you a little secret. The shirts you buy from high-end stores, I don't even know what a high-end t-shirt is anymore. And the shirts you buy from Walmart, there's really no functional difference. They work the same. I mean, quality manufacturing has gotten to the point where it's really hard to persuade you to buy a Hanes shirt over a Fruit of the Loom shirt. They're functionally identical. They have different labels on them. Right? Like, I remember back in the day, Walmart shoes were garbage. You bought them for like 3 months and then you went and bought some more, but they were 20 bucks a piece, so who cared? Now you can spend, what is it, $40 now on a pair from Walmart? And they'll last you a year or so. I mean, hell, you got your money worth out of them if they last 6 months. And as long as the shoes don't hurt your feet and they work, who cares? And that's what I'm talking about. You know, because, I mean, even your cars, they're functionally identical. I mean, you line up 3 sedans. They might have slightly different lines, but they're all functionally the same thing. They get basically the same gas mileage. You have basically the same infotainment center. And you have basically the same wear and tear and, you know, warranty on it. So you're really going after style, not really function. So we can't really talk about the function of the product because no product has actual unique features. I mean, hell, name 2 phones that have functionally different features of the same flagship brand. I'll wait. Outside of gimmicks like folding, like, tell me a function an iPhone has that your base, you know, a flagship Samsung or Android has. What's the difference between the two? Okay, pens, but you can buy a pen off the shelf that'll work with a touchscreen. So there's no functional difference other than it comes with a pen versus you having to buy one. Right, they're selling the name. There is no functional difference. They work the same. That's what I'm trying to explain is it the functional difference between products is negligible. Like, sure, maybe something has a pen, but doesn't, wait, isn't there something about, Hello There might actually be onto something. Because don't Apple Pens, don't you have to pair it with the phone for it to work properly? Which I find hilarious because my stylus I use for my art, there's no power to it. Yeah, but almost all of them have an extra camera. And almost all of them are lying about being able to record in 4K audio, or not audio, video, outside of, you know, very specific circumstances. You know, one, try to get a good night shot with a digital camera. And watch that grain settle in. The extra camera doesn't really do anything. In fact, see how this one has like 3 lenses and a flash? They're all working off the same chip. Those lenses mean absolutely nothing. I mean, if they did, how come your front camera, which seems so much smaller, seems to have the same good quality? You know, it has the same functionality. If you use the front camera, can't you like zoom in, zoom out? So why does it take 3 cameras on the back side and only 1 camera that seems like a little pinhole camera on the front side to do the same thing? I mean, sure, there are some that have a functional difference, but it's really not enough to buy a different phone for. Because who's really taking that many high quality photos that they have to upgrade to the next level of phone that they've only had, you know, that they've only had the old phone for a year? You know, the other reason why things functionally changed was because of streaming. You know, old ads had a captive audience. You were on TV. Of course, they thought they had a captive audience. You know, even my research doesn't tell you, you know, doesn't really point out the fact that most people didn't pay attention to ads. I know, I was there. Ads were when you got up and got a drink, went to the bathroom. You know, you only had a certain amount of time. You know, before the TiVo was invented, for those of you who don't know, it was the ability to record and replay live TV quickly. You had to rush to the bathroom and hope your sibling wasn't using it at the same time, or else you were going to miss part of the show. And most ads or ad breaks happened on cliffhangers or important things, so you had to wait for the resolution. So you always sit there and wait for the ad to end so you can come back to a show. Which also, the lack of ad spots in TV have fundamentally ruined how we tell a story with TV, but that's a different matter. That's a story for a different time. You know, and they keep, you know, citing the 5-second attention span. You know, and the captive audience. But, you know, they talk about, you know, that we can skip ads. No, we really can't, not anymore. Although YouTube has allowed you to jump ahead on sponsor spots. And the only reason why they're doing that is because they don't get paid for those sponsor spots, so they don't give a rip. In fact, the more that you skip on those sponsor spots, the more likely that the sponsor is going to go back to Google advertising. That's what they're hoping for. That's the hidden nefariousness in that jump ahead. Because if the metric starts saying that people are jumping ahead in the ad, they're going to stop. Well, and hello there. You know, I don't mean to dismiss your point. There are some cameras that actually do things. Like there's some cameras that specialize in slow motion. There's some cameras that specialize in night shots or high action shots. But the average person doesn't actually use these things. They'll buy the phone with them and then forget it even has it and never use it. Like that's just a matter of function. Most people don't use it. You know, that's what I'm saying by they're functionally no different. That'll only come in handy every once in a while. So, I mean, you are correct, but most people don't use it. And that's what I mean by functionally there's no difference. Other than very niche communities that use these very specific functions. Because that's the only way these manufacturers can even differentiate themselves. They are so afraid of going outside the norm that they can't take a risk, which has bled into all sorts of things. I mean, look at the last 10 years of Disney movies. They all tell the same story. It's all essentially the same story, and the ad's gonna play, so I'll be back in 5 minutes. Sorry about that. Where was I? Oh yeah. Where was I? Now, here we get to the even funnier part. The corporate irony and how it's been deconstructed. The modern audience poses an incredibly high level of media literacy and deep corporate cynicism. In other words, we know when an ad's an ad. Like, we understand that. So they had to change it. So traditional advertising, we just automatically turn our brains off and not pay attention. But our podcasters and other streamers and whoever, have a bunch of stacks of G Fuel or GamerSup sitting in the background. Even though I use GamerSups, you don't see me having all my stuff over here because they don't pay me to do that. They pay them to. Remember, they go off of affiliates. So every time you order from them, and use their code, they get a cut. I mean, I do have to say that the people with GamerSups, rather than the ones with G Fuel, are a lot more upfront about, hey, you get a 10% discount and I get a cut of the profits. At least they're upfront about it, which is why I tend to go towards GamerSups rather than G Fuel. Just honest. Now, to bypass this, they employ, these ironic, absurd ads because they're doing a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, we know this is an ad. You know this is an ad. So let's just have fun. Which, in the end, doesn't really tell you anything about the product. It'd be like me, smooth, metal, plastic, blue. And that's your ad. What does that have to do with anything about the product? Did I tell you that it has a screw-off lid? That the straw, while plastic, is reusable and dishwasher safe? Well, yeah, that's the point. Think about it. The rise of ASMR. How many products are advertised in ASMR where, they're sitting there tapping on their phone and what's underneath there? That's the Google G. This is a Google Pixel. How many things are they advertising to you guerrilla style that just bypass your filters? That you're not even realizing how many products they're featuring in each one of their... that's the only explanation on how ASMR got to be its own whole big thing on YouTube. It's literally changed how people view or listen. If you don't have a certain vibe to you, people won't even pay attention. And that truly bothers me. That, people listen to this ASMR stuff or mukbangs. Do you know how much money? Oh, what was his name? The fat guy that got skinny and was 2 steps ahead. Anyway, how much he probably got paid from Little Caesars, from KFC, from McDonald's, whoever he was eating that day. And their whole menu. How else do you think these mukbangers and all of these people were making so much money? Do you really think Chucklefuck actually, people watched him? Why do you think he had such a character? I still can't remember his name. Nikocado Avocado, that guy. That's what I'm thinking of. I only know him because of stupid, his crash out and 2 steps ahead. So I started looking like, well, who the is this guy? I have no idea who this guy is. So I started looking into him and I was disgusted. Absolutely disgusted that people would watch somebody eat that much food. I'm a big dude. I don't eat that much food. Yes, Nikocado Avocado. That's what I'm thinking of. He was 2 steps ahead because he pre-recorded 2 years worth of content while he went and got surgery and made himself skinny again. The only reason why he would wait 2 years is to ensure that the weight stayed off and that the surgery scars were gone. Because you don't lose that much weight without having a lot of sagging skin. Without having surgery done. Like, you actually have to have surgery to take up the extra skin, especially when you lose it within 2 years. Because he was over 300, I mean, he was over my weight, and the guy's like half my size, height. Okay, he's not really 3'2", but you know what I mean. See, that's something that a lot of people don't understand about the streamer economy. Most of these guys aren't making money off of views. They're making money off of the other crap. It's like, I'm sorry, but they get paid to have things featured in their videos. It's called ad placement. Look it up. This is an old tactic from old TV. Now they do it in friggin' streaming. It's easy. I mean, streamers even have the option. I even have the option to add a banner on the bottom and on the top, or add a whole full wraparound that I can sell ad space to people. I choose not to. Like, I am aware that I could make my channel a lot more popular than it really is. I could do a whole lot of things, but I abhor those things. I want people to find me. I want people to find me intriguing, and if they like me, stick around. You know, that's the thing. You know, and you know, the paradox here is that billboards are actually making a comeback and making more money. I mean, especially now that they have digital billboards and stuff like that, because it's really the only time that people can't skip an ad is when they're driving by a billboard. Sure, you may not pay attention to it, but it hits you on a level. You know, the main takeaway is, again, the philosophical division between the historical and contemporary landscapes. It's all summarized. How does a brand value you? In the earned attention, or the old way, I want to say it was rooted in dignity, but of course they're trying to sell you something. So keep in mind that they had a certain, like, they had a plan. They were selling you something. But the idea was they were selling you something, but they respected who you were. They figured you were intelligent enough to make up your own mind. They respected you. They didn't try to hold you hostage. They didn't try to do a whole lot of tricks with it up until about 20 some odd years ago. They recognized you as autonomous, as a person that that they had to convince to use their product. Or that if they showed their product being good, doing what it's supposed to do, and working properly, you just might buy it. Whereas in the new way, this is your hostage attention. This is rooted in, well, and here's the thing, is this is where we're heading. Spatial exploitation. You have your Kindle that's ad supported. How long, I mean, I think they even have phones now that are ad supported, that the lock screen is ad supported because you couldn't afford the right phone. Your cars are going to be ad supported. Your paying at the pump is ad supported. Movies. Do you know there was a time that regular commercials were not played before movies? That you didn't get a McDonald's ad or some local advertisement in the roll before the movies? Did you also know that there was a time when the time the movie started was when the movie started? You got there early to watch the previews. You know, that's what their B-roll in between movies was. Now, the time the movie starts is when the ads start. Whether that's for for trailers, which trailers used to respect your attention. But that's really what it is that they used to have respect for your attention. They used to care about you as the consumer. They used to understand that there are other products. But now that things are so functionally similar, other than a few little bits and bobs that are only important to very few people, they're all the same. So what can you do about it? Stop buying products that keep you hostage. You see advertisements in front of a movie that, it keeps you hostage. Stop buying them. Don't buy the products they're selling. You sitting at the pump and you see an advertising, pay attention to the ad. See that it, Rolaids, that it's available in the gas station store. Well, looks like I'm going with Tums. Pay attention to who advertises in hostile situations. Who keeps you hostage. Stop buying them. Yeah, I know. That means you're going to have to limit a lot of things. Trust me, there are businesses out there that respect you, that are trying to do the right thing, but you'll never hear from them because you're so used to tuning ads out. You're so used to these ads trying to hold you hostage that you don't listen to any ad. And I know this sounds stupid that oh no, pay attention to the ads now. But actively boycott the ones that keep you hostage. And I'm not talking about, when you're scrolling on TikTok and there's an ad in your feed. That's not what I mean by hostage. You can skip past those ads, I think. I don't use TikTok, so maybe I'm wrong. But when it's an unskippable, note who did it. Pay attention. It's like, so you're the company I avoid. I mean, that's honestly why I pay for ranks that are above, ad supported. I don't buy ad supported stuff. I pay for YouTube Premium. I don't buy a whole lot of streaming services because they're not worth paying the extra price for the getting away from the ads. To be perfectly honest. Netflix doesn't have anything on it that I really want to watch. Like, it's been so long since I've had anything that I would call must-see TV. And yes, I know I'm using an old moniker, but it's streaming services. Most of them aren't worth my time. Yes, I run ads on my channel. I've actually toyed with the idea of turning them off. Because I found out that even if I turn them off, it doesn't matter. If somebody subscribes, I still get the same cut. I thought if I cut it down, that I wouldn't get the same cut of the subscription. But from what I understand, and I'll have to do a little bit more research. Because, I'll turn off ads. I mean, I can even live check this. Oh, and I know that this is, something I'm not supposed to do. But I don't care. So this period that I'm going to be getting this last few months, or this last month, ads has paid me exactly, last period, $4.99. It's not like I'm getting a bag from ads. I lose $5 every month. That means I'll be making $50 every 2 months rather than 60. Unless, I get more subscribers. But I'm also not incentivizing people to subscribe. But I would rather people pay me because they see I'm worthwhile. Hell, the only main reason why I keep running ads is because I take a break every hour. Just like I think all of you should. It's when you get up, stretch, move around, Healthy. I may not be as healthy as I want to be yet, but I'm trying to get there. And I want to encourage everybody else to do the same thing. That's what I'm talking about, is that You need to come back to where you want to be. Not sit here and let something hijack your attention. Not let even me tell you who and what you need to be. You need to decide that for yourself. That's the most important thing, is decide if you need a product. I first read that as a 2-minute walk every morning. I'm like, 2 minutes? Really? You mean I walk more than you? No, 2 miles? Okay. I probably walk about 2 miles, give or take, every day. I don't really pay attention to it. It's just when I feel the need to get up and move, I get up and move. You know, I've had almost 47 years on this planet. And I've seen a lot of changes. Like, there's something that a lot of people don't want to tell you, but most people my age, we don't give a rip. We care about things that affect us, things that really matter. We don't give a crap about what some politician, like, yeah, I'll talk about Trump. He's an idiot. But he also has done some okay things. But mostly he's an idiot. But that's okay, so is Biden. I have a real hate for Obama. Most of you are too young to really know how much damage he did to our economy and how much damage he did to the presidency. He's the reason why Trump was able to get in president. Like, let that sink in for a second. If Obama hadn't been such a celebrity president, Trump would have never made it into office. Same with Clinton. If Clinton hadn't been such a celebrity for his time, Obama would have never made it into office. People give the Bushes crap. Some of it deserved. But again, they didn't oversee the destruction of the economy. Because both Clinton, Obama, and Trump all are seeking short-term profits. They don't look long-term. That's something I will give Bush, the originator. Yeah, there was some bad stuff that looked, and yet a lot of his policies were what pulling us out of the deficit. I mean, during Clinton's time, which, keep in mind, these policies take time. The policies take time to show up in the economy. They're not instantaneous like they would want you to believe. So you can't blame this economy wholeheartedly on Trump, no matter how much we want to. A lot of this is also Biden's doing, because this stuff doesn't roll downhill that fast. But what George Bush Sr. set up, that Clinton inherited, allowed Clinton to have almost zero deficit. But he signed into permanency NAFTA and CAFTA, which were free trade agreements. North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement and the Central American Free Trade Agreement, or Central Atlantic. I can't remember what, it's basically our free trade agreement with South America. And Central American Free Trade Agreement. That's what it was. What happened is that by doing that, we no longer had tariffs. I know that's a bad word, but by not having tariffs, there was no reason for companies to be based in the United States and make things in the United States. See, the biggest problem with Trump is that he was so short-sighted, he didn't incentivize the companies to start building in America. He just told them, you better start. That's all he said. You better start, I'm adding tariffs. And I find it funny that it was found that he couldn't set tariffs, but a president could remove them under Bill Clinton, under Obama. and even George Bush, the sequel. They removed tariffs, but they can't put more on. I'm confused by how that works. Not that I agree with Trump's tariffs. I just want to make that absolutely clear. I'm not playing any favorites here. One, they all have the same boss. And the American people forgot it. We are the government's boss. The very fact that Trump got into office is our fault. We let generations of people take control. We kept quiet. Now, was I responsible for that? No. Were you responsible for that? No. But the American people for generations have been ignoring politics where it mattered and only paid attention to the celebrity. You know, we tried to treat our presidents like they're royalty, forgetting that royalty really had no effect on British politics. You know, they're a mouthpiece. President actually has an effect. The local people you elect into your small governing bodies have an effect. Or used to before we, made election rigging legal. And I don't just mean the way most people think. But we've allowed election rigging for a long time. I hate to tell you that, but we have. As soon as we legalized lobbying, that's election rigging. I mean, the very fact that politicians are millionaires, the very fact that it takes you to be a millionaire by minimum to even get elected. So if some elected politician sits there and gives you a sob story about how they came from the dirt and didn't have anything to their name, it's an advertisement. They're lying. You thought I was done with what I was talking about? Not even close. Because it's all an ad. Everything. You advertise yourself. Do you realize that? Politics is an ad. They're trying to distract you. You advertise yourself. Every time you fill out a resume, you're advertising yourself. You're using coded language to make you more likely to get hired. You're not telling them the truth. You're coding it. And to the point where you get some of these weirdest resumes, applications, CVs, which I'm not even sure what a CV stands for. Shows you how long I've been out of the job market. But I used to be cover letter, and now I don't know what the CV stands for. But, I mean, some of these, just the formatting of your resume can make or break your application. And now companies are even using AI. So you better sell yourself. So the best way to actually sell yourself to an AI is have an AI do your resume for you. Hear me out. It speaks its language. It knows what it's looking for. So your best bet is just to have an AI you can do it for you. Use their own tricks against them. This is why I advocate for the average use of AI. Make sure that it's not saying that, your time, as a camp counselor wasn't, somehow converted into overseeing, 200 blah, 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 whatever. I can't think of anything good right now. I remember when it used to be the other way around. I remember when a resume was actually the detail and your cover letter was just a general summary, and most people didn't even look past the cover letter. One, most of it's bullshit. Most job applications, most of the time, it's bullshit. They already know who they're going to hire. I guarantee you. Because it's... And from direct experience, you're damn skippy that I know that there are computer systems that are literally designed. Why do you think all the applications go digital now? They use algorithms to weight your resume, your cover letter, your CV, and they're automatically scoring you and kicking you out. An algorithm. An AI. This is why I say, get comfortable with using AI. Understand how it works, how it thinks, because it's not going away. I'm sorry. You don't have to like it, but everything you use goes through AI. Phone interchanges. Algorithms that, feed you whatever you want on YouTube or whatever advertisements you get. Everything you pick up that is electronic goes through some form of AI. And if you need to learn, not if, you need to learn how to talk to it. You need to learn how to sway it to your side. Because you don't have a choice. You think we built 5,000 data centers in the US alone? Which is 10 times more than China has. Think about that for a second. Trump keeps telling people, we got to keep up with China. We got to make all these data centers because we got to keep up with China. We got to keep up with China. We already have 10 times the amount they do. And if you don't think the government or military has their hands in every single one of those data centers, you don't know how it works. The military or government, there's somebody somewhere that watches most likely it's an AI algorithm that's watching my stream and seeing whether or not I'm a threat. But don't forget that that's also coupled with however else I interact on social media, which is Discord. They have so little information on me other than what they can get through my phone and what few things I do online through my computer. I'm really not worth their time. Plus, I'm also outside of the age range. They don't care about me. You don't realize how little power I actually have in the grand scheme of things. 20-somethings have more power in politics, in business world than I do. Regardless of all my experience, everything I know, they don't want me. I'm too old. All they see is they might get 20 years out of me if I go to work for them. But they'll get 40 out of you. And they'll do everything they possibly can to keep you tied to your desk at your job. See, this is why I keep saying I am certifiably unemployable. Advertising doesn't work on me because I cut the cord a long time ago. I don't pay attention, I pay attention to ads, but in ways that only I want to pay attention. I evaluate how are they advertising to me. Oh, well, they're advertising to me in that way? Never gonna buy their product. Oh, you actually told me the function of your product? Sure. But most of the time, the best advertisements I use is if I'm interested in a product, I go to Amazon and I look at the reviews. That's what I do. I don't pay attention to who makes the product, brand name, or anything like that. I look through every one outside of the sponsored ones, pay attention to which ones are sponsored listings. But look through the ratings and actually read them. Sometimes you'll see a 4-star rating. It's not a 4-star rating. They're getting around the automatic censorship of people giving 1-star reviews. And they'll tell you, oh, this product is good and stuff. And then you go to the second paragraph and it's like, okay, now that the censors are, out of the way, The reality is this product is a pile of crap and you probably shouldn't be buying it. But since you're smart enough to actually read beyond the first paragraph, you already knew that. And I want to tell you something that, here's a little trick. Pay attention to the weight of an item. The lighter it is, especially with furniture or items that are supposed to be durable, lasting you time, you know, if one desk, like you're trying to buy a desk, and if it's a simple design, it's going to have a certain weight. And you see another desk that's significantly lighter, between 5 to 10 pounds lighter, don't buy that 5 to 10 pound lighter desk. It's built like crap. If it's something that is structural, pay attention to the weights. Don't buy the lightest thing on the market because it won't last. Keep an account for the materials. Like if it's made from plastic, there's going to be a significant weight difference, but plastic has a higher structural integrity. But I tend to buy wood and steel. I don't tend to buy plastics. Not if I can help it. I mean, even my cups are metal. But that's mostly because I'm a big guy and I run into a wall, it's a structural problem. I have literally bumped into a wall and went through the drywall. But see, this is the things that they want you to not pay attention to when you're being advertised to. They don't want you to pay attention to actual build quality. Like, I guarantee you, pick a luxury brand, you're paying for a name, and it's not better quality. Hell, if you can figure out which one's the knockoff brand, go buy it at Walmart. Go buy it wherever they sell the knockoff. You know, if it's a Coach, go to Target, mimic, you know, have your phone out, looking at the Coach purse or whatever bag. I almost guarantee you can find the exact same build quality, just without the name. Stop buying the garbage. If you're buying goods and you notice that they're not lasting you, find the next best rated product. Because when a product gets popular, they start cheapening the quality. It's what I call the false economy of scale. The more pieces a company sells, the lower the quality. So regardless of whether they started out being good, once they start reaching 1 million pieces a month, they can no longer keep that same level of quality. And you may not realize it, but they're ruining their quality to fit their demand rather than tell you. Rather than just go, sorry, we don't have enough right now. You know, and again, we can actually blame Apple for that one. They started telling people that, oh, this iPhone, I can't remember what generation it was. I think it was the 3. Oh, there's just a limited quantity. And for 6 freaking months, they kept selling out. It wasn't a limited quantity. I mean, sure, technically it had its limits. They didn't falsely advertise. I mean, but they had more than enough for the market saturation they had. Again, these are advertising tricks. Limited quantity does not mean you won't be able to get yours. Now take like the steam machine. Just recently, you know, you can get on the list to get on the waiting list. Thanks, scalpers. Oh, that's another thing, sorry. So, I don't know how many of you watch Moist Critical, Charlie Penguin Zero, or Penguins Zero. The Pokemon scalpers, or any scalpers for that matter. Do you realize most likely that is being paid for product by the company itself? Because The company doesn't make any money off of scalpers selling stuff at a higher price, but they do make money off of limited quantity. They can now justify a price increase because there's so much demand. So, yeah. The reality is, they probably could do something. They choose not to. Why would that be? Because they can make more money off of selling out. I mean, think about how many different products they put out there now. You know, Pokemon could definitely do something about it. The Pokemon company. But so could the companies that sell these. Target, Walmart. There's something they could do to basically kill off the scalper. The ability to scalp these items. Or they'd have to work at it a lot harder. But nobody's going to do anything, because as long as it stays in the news, it drives up the prices of both the retail price and the secondary market price. And I know a lot of you don't care about this, but think about it this way. Designer clothing knockoff. Do you think it just fell off the back of a truck? No, it's intentional. The designer clothing company actually sells knockoffs to their stuff. It's the same quality. They just want you to think it's a knockoff. Hell, most often it's probably, you know, off the factory floor that didn't quite meet their standards, even though it's the same quality. There's slight imperfections that you would never even notice. But they want that secondary market. They want that to drive up demand for their product. Like, the only thing you really can't do that with is cars. Yet. But again, these are all gimmicks. These are all things designed to sell you something. Sorry, have I lost you guys? Are you guys still listening? I'm just trying to make sure, because it's been a little while since somebody talked. Like, I don't know what's going on. You're like, am I just talking myself in a circle? I don't know. I want you to understand that they're all looking for your attention. And by all, I mean everything. Bosses, you know, teachers, parents, friends. We have a constant war for our attention. Oh, I guarantee they are. Me, personally, do you really want to know how to stop the scalpers? Do you really want to understand how to really stop it? Sacrifice your hobby for about 5 years. If enough people just stop caring, the secondary market will collapse. And if you think Logan Paul didn't get paid by Pokemon, I've got a bridge to sell you in Norway. It's a nice bridge. It's made of ice. Don't worry about summer. Summer never comes to Norway. It won't melt. I promise. I'll even sell you insurance on it. You know, but that's the thing is that, of course, Target is cutting the seals, but it's not actually Target. It's the managers. They're selling things out the back door. Because that secondary market is so hot, they can't stop themselves because Target doesn't pay them enough to care. They have rent. I'm not advocating for managers or people to do that. I'm saying when it's between you and rent or a meal, what are you going to do? You know, I mean, especially when nobody really cares. Get your bag. What, isn't that the quality? You know, morals go out the window. Nobody cares about morals anymore. I have literally heard from my wife while she's working on the job about these guys that go to church on Sundays, but talk about when they were kids, still going to church on Sundays, selling drugs in their neighborhood. And they didn't see the discrepancy. They didn't understand because it's how they were raised to do it. Their parents did it. You know, I mean, they're not major sellers, you know, and they still don't see the disconnect. Or they sit there and talk about, you know, these ladies that they go and play with and absolutely refuse to actually have a relationship. They just want to hook up. I mean, one of the guys the wife works with has had to change. He's running out of bars because every time he goes in, he sees the same people. And they don't see the disconnect that, hey, something's wrong with that. You know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, you know, don't have your fun. Have your fun. Do whatever you're going to do. But don't fool yourself that you're being a good person. Don't tell yourself, oh, they'd do it to me too. No, they wouldn't. You don't know that. But that's how these advertisers, whatever they are advertising, that's how they think. I know, I used to work in sales. I wasn't a salesman like that. I would ask the people what they needed, and I would get them what they needed. Even though I could potentially sell them higher something, because I just didn't see the point. No company really cares about the longevity of their customer. They don't care about how long they're going to keep the customer. If they did, they'd buy, you know, make better quality. You know, Maytag used to care. Maytag, when my parents moved out, well, when my dad and mom got married, their parents, I think it was my dad's parents, gave them their hand-me-down Maytag washer and dryer because it still worked. Grandpa and Grandma bought new Maytag. Mom and Dad eventually replaced the Maytag with a newer Maytag that never quite worked the same because they stopped caring about what people wanted. Come here. You need picked up. You need to say hi. Thought you guys might want to see her say hi. Who's that pretty baby? Who's that pretty baby? Is that my pretty baby? You done? Okay. Go, babies. You guys hadn't seen her in a while. Thought I'd let you. She let me. She was just sitting there, you know, laying on the ottoman next to me. But this goes back to what I was talking to about before about doing things with intention. Yeah, the myth, the legend, yeah, she still exists. She's still here. You know, you open up TikTok, have an intention on what you're going in for, what you're looking for. Don't just sit there and scroll aimlessly. Look for something. When an ad tries to play, don't just automatically skip it. Pay attention to it. I know this seems counterintuitive, but pay attention. Like, actually pay attention to how they're trying to sell you something. Actually pay attention to, do you need the product? Or do you just want it? Which is fine, but understand that need is more important than want. You know, I want new video games, but I need to pay rent. You know, it's that kind of stuff that we need to pay more attention to. We need to, well, weaponize the attention economy. Stop giving things that aren't worth our time attention. You know, there are good TikToks out there. Like the one dude that used to do the animal facts things that was just hilarious. Or the old-timey cook guy that was big on TikTok. But I used to get his, I used to watch the compilations of him. What's up, Jade? Good evening. What'd you do, take a nap? But the whole idea is to pay attention to what you actually need versus what you're told you need. You know, and that's the important part, is understanding that advertising is there to sell you something. Advertising, you know, they're going to weaponize it against you. They're going to weaponize your lack of attention against you. They're going to use every trick in the book to bypass your cognitive filter. So the more you don't pay attention, this is the counterintuitive part, the more effective the ad is. Because they've engineered for that. They've engineered that you're not going to be paying attention. They've engineered the ads against your lack of attention. Because they know you have a billion things, you know, pulling for your attention. Like I said, you know, this is why, or maybe I didn't say it, but this is why days feel shorter. Like you don't have enough time. Because you're not doing things with your time. Your time is being taken from you. You need to take it back. You need to pay attention to these ads and go, boycotting that one, I don't like how you advertise to me. Hey, you actually respect me as a consumer. You actually respect my time and told me what I needed to know. Cool. If I ever need your product, I'll buy it. Again, I don't know what companies, because when I need something, again, I'll tell you what I do. I go to Amazon and I Google the thing I need. Like currently I'm looking for an exercise bike. Stationary cycle. I need to get this under control. Because my workout isn't, you know, I'm getting stronger, but I need the cardio. And I'm not able to get enough cardio just walking around. I need more. So I'm not going to go and Google. I'm going to go on Amazon. I'm going to put in stationary exercise bike. And then I start comparing the bikes and what they do. Okay, do I want a magnetic resistance or do I want a traditional resistance? Magnetic went out because it's quiet. The cat doesn't like loud things. And I'm a big softie. Even though I'm not much of a cat person. I know you probably won't believe me, but the fact is that I went through and I started looking. Now, there were plenty of cheap exercise bikes. The problem is that I need an exercise bike that can handle 350 pounds. Well, there went a whole lot of the cheap ones right off the bat. And then I started, see, this is where that idea about checking the weight of the item came in. I started checking between. And I noticed that one of the big things about one that was fairly still cheap, I think it was only like it was like $75 to $125, which made me sketchy. Like that seems cheap for what it says it does. But then I noticed, even though it's rated for, 350 plus, it was significantly, we're talking like almost 15 pounds lighter than the one that was $75 more expensive. You know, just shy of 200. I'm looking back and forth. It's like, okay, the build quality has to be shit on that cheaper one. And so I started surfing through the reviews, looking for people complaining about the build quality, or people talking about a guy my size trying to use it, because this was listed as a heavy duty one. And the main issue people had was that the arms to keep it stationary while you're going back and forth, riding, it would tip. Because they didn't make the arms wide enough to have a stable base. Even though these people were given 3 and 4 stars, I started noticing that they said, they started saying that it would tip. Because they cut back on weight by not having the stable, heavy base arms. So, guess which one I added to my shopping list. Exactly. The heavier duty one with the higher weight. Even though it's more expensive, I have to wait to get it. Well, not like I had the money right now to buy it in either one of them anyway, but I like to pre-shop. I like to look and pay attention. Take 5-10 minutes even. And I'll put like 2 or 3 on a wish list. Sorry, on the shopping list or wish list or whatever I use on Amazon. Throw it into my list and then I'll look through them when I have more time. Or just take a little time every once in a while and just look through. It's like, and get a feel for the item. I take my time. And it doesn't have to be time taken all at once. Take a little bit of time each chance you get. I mean, I'm sure Jade knows what I'm talking about by this. Because I don't know how many of you have been poor. And I mean poor. Making big money decisions. Because for me, buying an exercise bike, that's a luxury. Flat out. Growing up, exercise equipment was a luxury item. That wasn't just something you bought. Even today, in my mindset, even though exercise equipment's come way down, my brain still says they're luxury items. Why is a stationary bike $200 when I can buy a bicycle for $100? Actually, I'm not even sure if I can do that anymore. I haven't checked out bicycle prices. But I just wasn't going to buy a bicycle in Texas because they don't have a whole lot of bike lanes. And there's not a whole lot of places I can go bike where I feel safe that I can make it back to if I wreck. Yes. No, I guarantee you, if a family had different shapes of ice. Oh, I love biking. I grew up biking. I mean, I may not be as in good a shape as I used to be. And I used to be in damn good shape. But I know I have the base for doing it again. And I need to start doing it before I get much older. Like once I start getting into the 50s, that's going to get a whole lot harder. So I need to get back into the habit of doing that now. But yeah, like you say, XO, different ice shapes. Yeah, if they just didn't have the normal cube, man, they were rich. Like I knew friends that had to me, luxury was getting water from the dispenser in the fridge. A fridge that had ice and water dispenser in the door, that was rich. And my buddy, there was even gradations because I had a buddy, his family was even richer because their ice dispenser shaved the ice as it came out. So it was crushed ice. Sorry, not shaved ice, crushed ice. Which I don't know why that was a big deal, but it was cool to listen to. Listen to that thing crush it as it came out. But yeah, I mean, right? I have never once owned a fridge that had a dispenser in it. I've always owned the one that has the freezer on top, the refrigerator on the bottom, no matter how much I hate those. I want the big side-by-side top with the freezer drawer underneath. Yes, Jade, you have one, I know, but I've never owned one. I've lived places that have had them, but I've never owned one. The fanciest thing I had was a washer and dryer, and the dryer was actually a drying cabinet. It's something they don't even sell anymore, or else I'd get another one. The drying cabinet actually had a door you opened that you could hang your clothing on, like your dress shirts and stuff. Had special dispenser spot where you could add a little bit of water. And it had a motor that would shake it back and forth. So as the air circulated through there, it was a little bit of moisture and it was a wrinkle release. It also had the ability, you could set it for dry cleaning. It was a dry cleaning cabinet at home. That was the most expensive, fanciest thing I ever owned. And I gave it to my brother because I couldn't, we had to move. And where I was moving, I couldn't have it anymore. He sold it. I gave it to him because it had twice the capacity of what he had. And he just sold it. So his wife still had to do 3 to 4 loads of laundry a day because they had at that time 5 people in their family and they were working on their 6th. But anyway, if you guys are going to hang out for a little bit longer, I'll run the ad. I'll be right back. And we can continue talking. Or if you have early mornings, I will just end it now. The choice is up to you. Right? You got to go, Jade? You have to go to sleep? All right, you guys. Oh, you're fine. You just missed the whole thing. No big deal. I'm just glad you showed up, to be perfectly honest. I'm glad to at least say hi. And y'all have a good night. I hope to see you here tomorrow, where we do some more drawing. Maybe have some ideas for me to draw. Yeah, well, I was pretty sure Infinite was lurking. Because Infinite loves these nights. I hope you at least enjoyed the listen, Infinite. But I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 9. If you're up in the morning, Ghost and Raven should be playing Backseat Driver at 9 in the morning. Love you guys, and you have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.